Thank you.
Good
Good morning,
morning,
everyone.
everyone. Good morning from the Will Group. Thank you for joining. My name's Erin Hennessy. I am with the Will Group, and I am going to hand it over to Miss Katrina Steele, who will give proper introductions.
Thank you, Aaron. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Smart City Solutions webinar, a critical move for forward-thinking municipal leaders. I would like to introduce Mayor Katrina Thompson, Mayor of Broadview, Illinois. Mayor Katrina?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Future of Municipalities, the Case for Smart City Solutions. I am Katrina Thompson, the Mayor of the Village of Broadview, and one of your hosts for this important discussion. It's a pleasure to have you all here as we explore how smart city technologies can drive efficiency, enhance public safety, and foster a more sustainable community. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge my fellow event host, Mayor Andre Harvey of the Village of Bellwood and Mayor Nathaniel George Booker of the Village of Mayberry. Thank you both for your partnership and bringing this conversation to life. Municipalities today are navigating an array of challenges, from aging infrastructure and rising costs to public safety concerns and the demand for sustainable growth. However, with the right technology-driven solutions, our cities and towns can become more efficient, resilient, and better equipped to serve our residents. In today's webinar, we'll begin with an overview of smart city solutions, their key benefits, real-world applications, and practical steps for successful implementation. Following that, we will transition into a Q&A session where you will hear firsthand insights from municipal leaders who have collaborated with the Real Group on smart city initiatives. Todd Jackson, Public Works Supervisor of Forestry and Lighting of the Village of Niles, Aaron Neal, Public Works Director, City of Elgin, Mike Pease, Chief Information Officer, City of Aurora. To lead us through this discussion, I am pleased to introduce Josh Davis, President of the Real Group. Over the next 15 minutes, he will highlight how municipalities can leverage smart city solutions and create more connected, efficient, and future-ready communities. We encourage you to engage in the conversation, drop your questions and insights in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to address as many as possible. Let's get started.
Thank you, Mayor Katrina. Thank you to Mayor Katrina, Mayor Harvey, and Mayor Booker, along with all of our panelists and guests today. I'm going to give a little background on the Will Group and exactly how we look at smart city solutions in collaboration with our municipal partners. The Will Group is a trusted leader in innovative infrastructure and lighting solutions, specializing in high-quality smart IoT products and services designed to meet the unique needs of municipalities, utilities, and communities. We're approaching 4 decades in business, and in that time we've grown, evolved, and expanded into a family of diverse companies that provide a comprehensive range of products and services to municipalities. The Will Group has played a pivotal role in smart city IoT solutions, providing municipalities with end-to-end infrastructure services that enhance efficiency, safety, and sustainability. By leveraging engineering expertise, manufacturing capabilities, and technology integration, the Will Group empowers cities to future-proof their infrastructure and enhance residents' quality of life. Today, we'll hear firsthand from our clients in Niles, Elgin, and Aurora about how we've helped their municipalities develop a roadmap to smart IoT solutions. So first, I'm going to talk about the Will Group's infrastructure business unit. We are a manufacturer's representative specializing in lighting, smart IoT solutions, and bridges. Unlike many manufacturers' rep agencies, we're focused only on infrastructure roadway lighting. This allows us to build deep relationships with vetted manufacturers that are best in class. Now let's talk a little bit about what are smart city solutions. Smart city solutions refer to the use of technology, data, and connectivity to improve urban infrastructure, public services, and overall quality of life for its residents. These solutions integrate Internet of Things devices, AI, and data analytics to enhance efficiency, sustainability, and importantly, decision-making in city operations. Today, our focus will be on smart infrastructure, specifically intelligent streetlights, smart grid, and energy-efficient buildings that reduce waste and optimize power consumption. So this is my favorite. What's in it for me? Why look at smart cities and what are some of the benefits? Importantly, cost savings. You want to reduce energy and operational cost, which you see immediately. Increased efficiency. That's an important one. Time is limited for everyone. Automation and predictive maintenance reduce downtime of your infrastructure. An important one for everyone in 2025 is improved public safety. Having real-time monitoring and quicker emergency responses create safer communities. Sustainability and environmental impact. We want to lower carbon emissions and optimize resources as part of being a good resource to our community. Oftentimes, the Will Group, we talk about leaving it better than we found it, and that's where we really talk about sustainability and environmental impact. And of course, enhancing citizen experience, better transportation, safer streets, and faster services as you serve your municipalities. Now, all this can be very overwhelming, but where do you start? And this is what we call a roadmap to smart IoT. We provide the proper roadmap to get you from start to finish. The city of Elgin, for example, the sixth largest city of Illinois, is a great example of how we work closely with multiple departments to help from beginning of their projects to upgrading their lighting infrastructure and future-proofing through connected city technologies. Many of our municipal clients tell us our approach is different. With all of our in-house services, we can help with everything from understanding what you have in place today to your city being equipped with the latest smart city IoT solutions. We often say at the Will Group, one hand to shake or one throat to choke. We look at pre and post audits, including GIS mapping, providing you with ground truth on all your assets and inventory. We hope to ensure you have a good understanding of what you have in place today and what might need to be replaced sooner than later. Very helpful in putting together budgets and inventory. Second, we help you and your engineering partners with lighting design that meet your unique needs. Things like safety, visibility, and even aesthetics to help in the design process. Next is specifying products to ensure your town streets have the proper wattage, lumen output, and physical attributes that meet all standards. Our manufacturing and distribution teams help to source, build, and even store your assets until it's time for construction. We are leaders in smart city IoT solutions that can enhance efficiency in traffic, energy, and public safety through real-time monitoring and automation. And this is a great roadmap of how to get there from start to finish. And as you know, in 2025, a street light is a lot more than just a pole. A light pole is no longer just for lighting up your streets. It's a valuable real estate for smart IoT solutions, transforming how cities operate. Positioned through municipal environments, light poles serve as ideal for hubs for technology that enhance public safety, connectivity, and efficiency. A few examples include smart lighting and energy efficiency. Adaptive LED systems reduce energy consumption and maintenance costs, as we talked about previously. Public safety. This asset can now be used for cameras, emergency communication systems, and even environmental sensors that can improve response in real time. Traffic and mobility optimization. This has been a great case study for us. Integrated sensors collect real-time data on congestion, parking, and pedestrian movement, allowing municipalities to monetize that data set. A fun one for us is 5G and connectivity. Smart poles can act as a micro cell site, expanding high-speed internet access and access for all in communities. As previously mentioned, environmental monitoring as well. These sensors can detect air quality, noise levels, and weather condition for proactive city planning. By integrating IoT technology, municipalities can maximize the value of every pole, turning them into an essential asset for smarter, safer, and more connected cities. And of course, the cloud. Cloud-based asset management for light poles is a digital solution that allows municipalities to monitor, control, and optimize their streetlight infrastructure in real time. Instead of relying on manual inspections and reactive maintenance, cities can leverage IoT-enabled light poles connected to a centralized cloud platform for smarter decision-making. As many public works employees are on this call, I believe that this is something that really goes a long way when it's, hey, how do we, as opposed to being reactive to issues with citizens, be proactive, which allows for better workforce planning and one that we've seen some immense benefits from. And of course, the energy efficiency and cost savings side of it. So as you know, there are significant rebates available. Municipalities that adopt smart city IoT solutions can benefit from a variety of energy efficiency programs, including ComEd's energy efficiency program and similar initiatives from other utilities. These programs help municipalities reduce energy consumption, lower costs, and enhance sustainability, making financing one less thing to worry about. Utility-led energy efficiency programs like the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program offers smart street lighting rebates and incentives that can help get the project done. In addition to smart street lighting rebates, ComEd has recently announced grants for EV charging, which the Will Group can support as well. And so enough hearing me talk. Next, I'd like to ask some questions who have lived it, have been through the project as partners. I'd like to ask them some questions, including Todd, Aaron, and Mike, as previously introduced. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So my first question for you, I've talked about it a bunch. What does smart city mean to your municipality, and what role do IoT technologies play in achieving those goals?
Who wants to jump in there first? I actually can go. Because I've been asked this question 1,000 times, and also if you ask 1,000 different people, you'll get 1,000 different answers. But to me, what it means is basically integrating 3 different components. It's information, communication, and technology, basically to create a more efficient, a more safe, a more connected, and a more prosperous city. When you bring these elements together, you then start to focus on achieving those significant improvements in quality of life, efficiency, safety, and building out that urban environment. I think that is my definition of that smart city IoT adoption.
Fantastic.
You want me to go, Aaron, or you want to go?
Oh, Aaron, I
Todd,
think you might be on mute. Would you be able to unmute?
I guess I'll jump in.
That'd be great, Todd.
For the village's perspective, what I oversee is obviously street lighting. Utilizing the technology to obviously provide a highly reliable network and able to in real time respond to issues or outages is the most critical thing that I oversee from a day-to-day operation. So they obviously the nodes that we currently have deployed do help and continue to provide that information to us on a real-time basis.
Aaron? Aaron, I think you're on mute, sir.
While Aaron fixes some IT issues, maybe we can move on to the second question that we have for Mike and come back to Aaron for his answer.
That
Josh,
sounds
you
good.
mind using that?
No problem. No problem. Mike, one of the things someone told me that you said one time was you talked about internet being the 4th utilities. You have your water, your gas, your electricity, and now internet is something that everyone has to have. Can you describe how you envision smart IoT solutions improving key areas such as public safety, emergency efficiency, or traffic management?
Absolutely. I mean, all those specific areas, Josh, just like you talked about, whether it's smart lighting, whether it's public safety, whether it's traffic management, the broadband connectivity itself is that underpinning foundation that connects all of that. Without that connectivity, the rest doesn't exist. I think, you might have heard, because I typically say that, that the broadband or the fiber is the fourth utility, just like water, gas, and electricity. When you come home, you expect the gas to work. When you come home, you want to get a glass of water, you expect the water to come out the tap, right? And then when you come home, you flip the light switch on, you expect the lights to come on. These days, people come home, they expect the internet to work, not just at home, everywhere you go. So that whole ubiquitous aspect is very important. And that's why I said it's a fourth utility. And it's not a luxury anymore. It's absolutely a necessity.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. Aaron, looks like you've hopped back on. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Perfect.
I will bring it back around the corner to you. Aaron, tell me
Yeah,
how
I apologize. I apologize for that. But to take it back to what does smart city technology means, it really hits on what Mike said. It means 1,000 different things to 1,000 different folks who are answering that question. There's a lot of buzzwords around it, but at the end of the day, it's about data, being able to make data-driven decisions. So in the city of Elgin and for our public works department, we define a smart city as one that leverages technology to enhance efficiency, improve service delivery, and provide real-time insights for better decision-making. In Elgin, we've transitioned to LED streetlights, ensuring energy efficiency while keeping the infrastructure ready for future smart node integration. So, we do not have any smart nodes on our city. We've been working with the Will Group for quite some time because it's expansive, the amount of things that you can do with your LED streetlights. However, each one of our 6,700 streetlights are future-proofed for a project that's coming in 2026, which is going to allow us to leverage the data from our street lighting. We use Samsara is another tool that we use in Elgin for vehicle tracking and optimizing service delivery. And we're expanding our network of charge point EV chargers, right? So all of these sustainable and connected technology. For traffic management, we've integrated the Siemens Tactics system, which is a traffic signal management system, which allows Elgin to actively manage and optimize traffic signals. And all of these technologies work together to create a data-driven and responsive infrastructure that enhances mobility, safety, and efficiency for the residents of Elgin. So, that's what it means to us at the Public Works Department and the day-to-day staff that I manage every day.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Aaron. I love hearing all the things that you're doing, really being a forward thinker and setting goals for municipalities. One question for you is, how has the Will Group supported your municipality in advancing your smart IoT goals? And tell us some of your next goals. You've done a lot so far, but tell me what you want to do long term.
Yeah, the Will Group has been an amazing partner to the city of Elgin. The world of smart technology is expansive, and to have a partner like the Will Group to help guide us through our implementation of systems to improve resident experience, to improve operations experience, to improve staff experience here with the city of Elgin has been instrumental. The Will Group has been a catalyst for us. It's one thing to adopt smart city technology, but the Will Group has allowed us to adopt it at a pace that is acceptable to us, never once pushing us to an end goal, right? I mean, we've been working together for 7 years now, and you've allowed us to work at our pace. Sometimes we've sped it up, and sometimes we've slowed it down. But you touched on it, Josh, from the pre and post audits to the back end infrastructure management systems that we have now in place for our street lighting. The Will Group has been a vital partner and one that not only provided us best in class recommendations for what direction we should walk, whether that's General Electric or Vega Lighting, to the relationships the Will Group has with ComEd towards the nearly $500,000 Elgin received in street lighting rebates back in 2022 to help leverage that to offset some of the capital costs. And then as we move towards EV charging, in a recent conversation that I've had with your team, the Will Group is forming a partnership with the company that we're currently working with, right? So having one throat to choke or one hand to shake, Josh, has been an amazing experience for the city of Elgin towards our goals.
Fantastic, Aaron. And can you say that number again? That sounded like a big number you got in that grant. What was that number?
Yeah, $500,000 in rebate.
Wow.
In rebate. So we had 6,700 street lights. We reduced our energy output just through the transition from our historic lights to our LED lights by over 60% in energy consumption, and ComEd provided us that rebate in line with the incentive program they had at the time.
That's fantastic. I love to hear that. Bringing it back around to you, Todd. I know you talked a little bit about your node system, and you've been using wireless controls now for over a year. Can you talk us through, how you got from making the decision that you wanted to install them to getting them installed and getting the project done, and how the work was able to help you get there?
Yeah, so we've been using the nodes since probably 2021, so it's going on 3.5, 4 years now. It was a process that was presented during design. The village really wanted to push towards the smart street lights and the adaptability. A lot of our lighting is on IDOT arterial roadways that we maintain. The village decided to move forward with it. The Will Group obviously played an integral part in providing us with a reliable partner. And we've used the nodes, like I said, now 3.5 years successfully. The things that it's obviously helped produce energy, maintaining real-time data, cutting down on nighttime patrols, unnecessary maintenance trips, reducing unnecessary inventory of parts and components, because but it's been a great run so far. There's obviously the ability to maximize all the information from the Will Group's perspective, and the node manufacturer has been a benefit for the village.
Fantastic. Thank you, Todd. Mike, I'm going to swing it back around to you. The city of Aurora stays in the news with all the good, innovative things that you're doing under the mayor's leadership and your leadership as well. When you look at smart cities for the city of Aurora, what are some objectives that you have coming up in the next 3 to 5 years, and where do you see it going? Not just on smart lighting and infrastructure, but your overall smart cities technology and Internet of Things technology.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Josh. So that's a very interesting question, because one of the reasons that I was brought in back in 2017 was to basically capitalize on our fiber optic network. We have a 40-mile ring that's around our city with about 130 miles of laterals. We have fiber that connects us to downtown Chicago, to 350 Cermak, which is the Equinix data center and the telecom hub to the Midwest. So we do have global access to the world. And as we know, that connectivity, again, is the foundation of everything we're talking about. As Todd and Aaron just talked about, with the data integration and analytics, being able to make those data-driven decisions, and not just for the city and the elected officials, but also for the department heads, the division heads, also for our constituents, also to drive business and economic development, also for tourism. So all that plays into driving that end goal, that those mayors, have in terms of public safety, economic development, and promoting education. So we talked a little bit about the IoT deployment. Again, that broadband connectivity is important for those IoT devices like sensors, and also for cameras. One of the things in the city of Aurora, we have over 800 cameras throughout the city. The majority of those cameras are connected to our broadband fiber optic infrastructure as a backbone, which is embedded in our public infrastructure. I'm in a very unique situation since I'm the CIO, and I'm actually here with other public works, professionals, but I have to collaborate very closely with our public work department to make these things happen because everything we do depends on people like Aaron and Todd. Um, whether it's connecting those, that real-time data or those systems that's processing service like, water, waste, energy consumption, or public safety. Again, we depend on our public works. So that whole communication network is key for us. Our broadband network we use right now for government services, but what we're looking at doing is a very ambitious project to deploy another 700 miles of fiber optic infrastructure to pass all 63,000 homes, businesses, and organizations throughout the city of Aurora. That project, we're working on that now. It's the deployment of that is about a 7 to 8 year project, and we will basically deploy and working with a partner through a public-private partnership is not the city, but working with collaborating with a partner to deliver internet services to those entities, homes, but specifically in the disenfranchised communities. Because again, the city of Aurora, we want to make sure that our most vulnerable communities and individuals have access to high-speed, affordable internet. Um, so that's one of the kind of key, I say, flagship projects that we're working on with the mayor, with our team, and partners like Will Group as well to help support that build out and to help us to take Aurora to the next level. I like to say, we're the second largest city in the state of Illinois, but I like to say we're second to none. So, and I think we're leading the charge when it comes to innovation and technology here in the state of Illinois. No pun intended, Aaron and Todd. I love you guys, but again, when it comes to that, I got to throw some shots out to the city of Aurora.
No competition here. I think if we're competing to be good public stewards, that's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
And I love that you talked about communities benefiting from this. Aaron, tell me how the communities that you serve have benefited from these smart IoT solutions.
So, and again, having someone like Mike on the call who oversees the IT department for the entire organization for the city of Aurora is huge for this conversation. My role with the city of Elgin is public works. And, we have very specific needs and, sets of data that we look towards to improve our service delivery, to improve the quality of life that Elgin residents have. And a lot of what we do in public works, and Todd can, he knows this very well, is behind the scenes. It's the things that keep the community moving that they may not pay attention to. And it's how do we improve service delivery? So the integration of most recently in 2024 was our new AVL system to be able to track snow and ice control, to be able to track where our street sweepers are. We integrate Internet of Things systems towards our staffing models, right? And our resources. How do we deploy resources effectively? Todd spoke a little bit about night patrols. 10 years ago, the only way that you would know if a street light was out was one of two ways, right? You put someone on overtime and you send them out to drive a quadrant of the city, or you wait for Miss Smith to call in to say her light's out. Now we're moving towards a path where we're going to allow the data and allow someone to sit at their desk and know where the street light outages are, right? So we can preemptively make those repairs to the infrastructure. So, we too in Elgin utilize a camera system that has over 250 cameras, right? So it's real-time monitoring of street conditions, real-time monitoring in the winter, or if there's a summer storm event, having access to how traffic is flowing through all of our signalized intersections. We have 43 signalized intersections in Elgin that are owned and maintained by the city, as well as another upwards of 30 that are owned and maintained by either KDOT, Kane County Department of Transportation, or the Illinois Department of Transportation. So having access to real-time data is allowing departments, especially public works departments, to efficiently and effectively and more streamlined provide services to communities. And I think that's, a continued path that we are going to work on here at the Public Works Department in Elgin, as well as collaborate with our other professionals like we have on the call today.
Thank you, Aaron. That's a wonderful answer. I love that. Todd, bringing it back to you. So with municipalities, a lot of them kicking off projects, not knowing where to start. What advice would you give other municipalities about partnering with organizations and what to look for and a key partner and how to get it kicked off. Oh, Todd, you're on mute.
We know Todd, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Scott's been a great partner to the village, as the team that stands behind him from the Will Group. From the beginning of it, the planning process, the ability to provide solutions to the challenges or the needs that the village has. They've been able to rise and support the products that they promise on. Scott's regularly involved with everything that the village does, from the node system and all future projects. So the communication is large, and we continue to have a good working relationship with everyone at the Will Group. So the importance is doing business with people that stand behind what they say and support you when you need that support.
Fantastic. Thank you, Todd. So very broadly, and this is to all the panelists, we've talked about the inroad, but let's talk about the importance of the audit process. Tell me about, as you work through this, what the benefits have been of doing an audit to kick off your projects.
Yeah, I'll hop in. As the public works director in Elgin, I am supposed to know where all of our 6,700 streetlights are, right? I mean, it's if someone were, they would think, Aaron, you know where they are. And the reality is, for anyone in the profession, that things slip through the cracks, right? There may be a new subdivision that was developed, or streetlights that you just weren't aware were part of your lighting system. And when we started our project, the very first thing that we did was task the Will Group to audit our infrastructure. Not only tell me where our street lights are, tell me which ones are owned and maintained by the city, which ones are owned and maintained by Commonwealth Edison, which ones are owned and maintained by our county and state government entities. And in addition to that, the report provided us condition assessments of each pole, right? So now I know that we have and where our 6,700 poles are, but what is the condition of them? Are the globes yellowing? Are the poles in good condition? Are any of the handholds missing? So entering a project, having that very basic entry level information about our street lighting system was the first component towards a very successful project here in the city of Elgin. Those pre and post audits, not only the pre, but at the end, once everything was installed and we had real-time information of when and where our lights were going in and when they were being replaced, getting update reports on the condition, which was critical, has now been improved to good. That's extremely important information for any municipality.
That's fantastic. I love that answer, Aaron. Mike, can you speak to that?
I can speak to anything. So, I mean, I got an answer. It might not be the right answer, but I got an answer. All right. But I mean, what Todd and again, what Aaron said is 100% spot on. I'll talk from the perspective of IT, right? So that public infrastructure, I mean, it holds immense value for many different reasons, right? One, they talked about like identifying gaps and opportunities. You can't plan or have a vision to go somewhere unless you know where you're at. So you have to start with that current state assessment, right? And if you understand where you want to go with that future state, right, you can start to look at the gaps. You can create that gap analysis to uncover those opportunities for improvement, right? This ensures that any smart city initiative is built out on a solid foundation, and that equates to optimizing time, resources, and dollars, right? So from that perspective, it's 100% necessary. It also helps us to kind of enhance integration and interoperability, especially when you start to basically assess public infrastructure, for planning purposes. I can't plan anything out if I don't know that the city has 10,000 light poles, right? Where they are, what the location is on a grid, on the X and Y axis in my GIS system. I need to know because, again, for me, those vertical assets are 100% necessary for me to build out potentially that broadband network for ubiquitous Wi-Fi access throughout the city. So that's another example. I think, also it helps us though, as they spoke about, improving public services through those assessments and identify those areas where technology can help to basically enhance those public services, including things like transportation, energy management, public safety, and other critical services that actually lead to higher, quality of life for our residents. And also, more importantly, we just had an example, risk management, right? Evaluating that infrastructure basically will help us to identify those potential risks and vulnerabilities. That's crucial for basically implementing robust and resilient IoT solutions that can withstand challenges like cyber attacks or natural disasters. I mean, the collaboration between IT and public works is 100% necessary. And one of the things that I think in government we are typically siloed, but we have frameworks and governance in the city of Aurora that basically encourage public works and IT to work together. It is a symbiotic relationship that is 100% necessary for any smart city initiative to be successful because it supports economic development, which again is one of the mayors or any mayors that even are on this call, their strategic objectives. And promoting that sustainability is key.
That's fantastic, Mike. I'll ask one more question before we get to our Q&A. Todd, Mike, tell me, I heard Aaron talk about $500,000 in grants. Can you tell me how you were either able to leverage ComEd grants or other federal grants to help you get your projects done? And a little bit about the process of that as well.
Currently, we've received not nearly 500,000. I know that, but we've received, I think, close to 50,000 currently, and then I think we have in the works another between $10,000 and $25,000 in grant ComEd rebate incentives that the Will Group has helped support, providing all the necessary information and back-end support paperwork in order for us to fulfill the obligations to receive that money. But it's a seamless, very seamless process, not labor intensive. The ease of partnership is tremendous.
Fantastic. Mike?
With those specific those energy efficiency grants, I don't have the data specifically on me, but I do remember back in 2020 we went through the ComEd Energy Efficiency initiative where we looked at all our server rooms and data centers, and we did receive some revenue back with regards to that. I just don't have the specific numbers around that. But ComEd is on the line. Again, City of Aurora, we're open. I mean, we're here. If there's opportunities out there, we'd actually love to talk, especially with everything that's going on with the grid and the broadband infrastructure build outs throughout the nation.
That's fantastic. And just a reminder, it's not just ComEd. There are lots of programs available, and we'd love to support and offer some of those in follow-up as well.
Absolutely.
And now I'll let Aaron take us to Q&A.
Excellent. Thank you, Josh. And thank you to all the panelists so far. So to all the participants on the call, there is a Q&A. Feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A, and we will try to get to them all by the end of the call. But we've had some come in so far, and I'm just going to read off the first one that has come in. And it's actually around lighting design and smart IoT. Someone's asking the question about their municipality having certain guidelines for historical identity. Has anyone on the panel experienced this, and have you run into issues?
Yeah, I mean, in Elgin, half of our street lights of our city-owned and maintained street lighting infrastructure are decorative street lights, right? So we have about 3,500 lights that are Cobra heads on spun aluminum poles, whether silver or black, and we have about another 3,000 lights that are decorative poles. And of those 3,000, there's probably 1,000 of which are within our Elgin historic districts. So, managing the lighting design, which again, we were put in contact through the Will Group, through our partnership with an engineering firm who helped us with our lighting design. And ultimately, what we found, and this is where everything comes together, the lighting pre-audit and the assessment of the infrastructure found that the light poles within our historic district were in good shape. So now it was, okay, how do we maintain the street light poles that are existing and just update and retrofit the internal components within those decorative light fixtures? So the Will Group in the city of Elgin were able to work with a company by the name of Vega Lighting to keep the aesthetics that were existing, the pole conditions that were good, and insert retrofit kits into those lights that met all of the dark sky compliance issues that communities are facing, especially as it relates to sustainability and how we light our cities, as well as maintain the aesthetic look that those historic districts at times demand in those areas of our cities.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. Todd or Mike, is there anything you'd like to add to that as well? Have you experienced that? Historical aspect?
Definitely, we have a historical, I can't remember the exact name, but we have a commission that in the city of Aurora that actually, focuses on managing that historical aspect of certain areas, specifically the downtown area. But, we actually are currently embarking on a project. It's called the Broadway Expansion Project. And we're looking at vitalizing the downtown area and actually enhancing the overall urban area. It's looking at, and again, I'm not a public works guy, but it's looking at streetscape redesign. There's also on-street parking removal. I think they talked about sewer separation, and we did receive a grant from the Rebuild Illinois Downtown and Main Streets Capital Program for like $3 million. But again, the city of Aurora, through doing this, we have to engage in certain public-private partnerships, and to basically to look to make this a reality. But specifically around the question around street fixtures, one of the objectives that the mayor has says is, one, we want to revitalize the area. Two, we want to maintain that historical value for the fixtures, where we're working also with the Will Group with that. But also, the mayor said, I want to make sure we got cameras, sensors, Wi-Fi, and all these different aspects integrated into that to modernize the thing. So currently, we're looking at how we maintain that integrity, from the historical aspect, but modernize the capabilities and the functions within the light fixtures. And I think with the Will Group's partnership and some of our other partners, I think we're definitely going to get through that and make that a reality.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Todd, does that apply to Niles at all?
We don't have a downtown or a defined downtown district or even like a defined business district, so to speak, but we do have decorative lighting that we are looking to upgrade the internal components with LED hardware, and it's something that we have begun discussing with the Will Group, but we haven't actually firsthand started the project. It's more or less just in the beginning concept phase.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Todd. A next question is actually about 5G solutions. The question comes in and asks, as smart city solutions being discussed today, are any of these towns or cities on the call speaking today, or in fact, even just the Will Group, using the recommended private 5G solutions for any of your applications? Is that applicable to Aurora or Elgin, Niles?
Yeah, I mean, I actually can take that. I mean, yes, the 5G, and keeping in mind that those 5G technologies, they're coming from the I'm gonna say the major network operators. We look at 5G technology as a ancillary technology to provide connectivity. We want to, in the city of Aurora, we want to kind of, you know, maintain our destiny and drive it the way we want. That's why we focus on the broadband infrastructure. That's,
Mhm.
I wouldn't even say city owned. I would say it's community owned, right? That are the residents, who's the taxpayers who's paid for that broadband network. The 5G technology, and keep it in mind, it is very important because a lot of the public works vehicles that actually go out, or the police or fire trucks or the emergency services vehicles, they have 5G connectivity in them because it's mobile. So it's very important. So the 5G technology is really important, but again, it actually is I like to say a supporting technology in the city of Aurora, but because at the end of the day, it all feeds back into that fiber optic broadband infrastructure. They work together, right? And there's pros and cons to having one or the other, or actually having both. But again, it's just another tool within that Swiss Army knife to provide services to the city and the residents. I hope that answered the question.
No, it definitely does. I think a lot of people now are pouring into the chat talking about the pilot program that you did bring up about fiber optic cable. Can you go into detail a little bit about that? What is the genesis behind that? People want you to explain that a little bit more.
Well, I mean, the genesis behind it is that it's a forward-thinking economic development strategy, and I want to focus again on its economic development, its public safety, its education. I don't want to get so caught up in the technology because as IT professionals, we tend to focus on the nice shiny object and forget the outcomes.
Mhm.
So providing that infrastructure to our government, to our resident, it enhances every aspect of life, hence the quality of life aspect. If we can basically provide, or our partners can provide, high-speed internet access to the residents in disenfranchised community, and the key aspect of that is for an affordable price, right?
Mm.
That's what I mean, that's what we're looking to do because I'll just throw it out there that and no pun intended to the major network carriers or those ISPs, those internet service providers, they failed us in the past. We saw that during COVID when people went from work to home and they started working remote. And more significantly, when the kids stopped going to school and they went home. So those
Right.
kids in the disenfranchised communities that did not have access to devices or internet access, high-speed internet access, they couldn't do their schoolwork. So you had
Mhm.
kids rushing in droves to the library or trying to get to a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts to get onto the Wi-Fi to do their homework. We don't want to experience that again. And the mayor has said time and time again, and the public broadband is an initiative, but it's an underpinning foundation of everything that he's delivering: public safety, education, and economic development. He says it all the time. See, it's very clear. That
Mhm.
is the objective. So we use technology to actually to drive those specific objectives.
Absolutely. Thank you for that explanation. And also, another question is all around funding. It's been a hot topic between the three of you, disclosing different grants or awards that your municipalities have been gifted. The question is more or less around the idea of who is designated on your team to monitor that. Or are there any great resources that you personally monitor to keep you up to speed on what's available to your municipality?
Yes, so in Elgin, I think there was a general understanding with anyone who's in the ComEd service region that there were certain incentives available for folks who were looking to do energy efficiency projects, and one of which was street lighting. And in Elgin, I share that we had a large rebate or incentive brought back to us, but it's also with the understanding with the scale and scope of the project that was in front of us, right? Elgin has nearly 7,000 streetlights. We are the sixth largest municipality in Illinois, so with more lights came greater energy reduction, and simply by the volume of lights that were replaced, kind of provided us with an incentive or a rebate check so large. However, it was having a project partner in the Will Group to help facilitate those conversations, to fill out all of the required information that ComEd required of us, the data tracking, we needed to have pictures of all of the fixtures that came down and pictures of the new fixtures that went in, just so that ComEd could verify that indeed we went from a 400-watt high pressure sodium street light that takes nearly 480 watts to turn on, and we've reduced that down to a 97-watt LED. So all of that confirmation work, it was streamlined by our work with the Will Group and having a project partner that could see that through. And whether it's the Will Group or your favorite engineering firm that you work with, right, having a project partner, as we're all in municipalities today, running very lean, right? So you have to leverage not only your staff and your time, but you have to leverage those relationships, those professional relationships, to allow those folks to do some of the legwork for you.
Thank you, Aaron. I think a lot of people are getting excited about the idea that the majority of everyone on this call has leveraged the pre-audit service. And the question is around, for the pre-audits, how long do those typically take? And how does that work? Is there a field team? Does your team have to go out and do the audit? How does that work?
Josh, you're up, man.
Well, I can speak just specifically to how we work with some of the municipalities on this call, and ultimately when it comes down to it, one of the fun parts about this is one of the common sayings and infrastructure upgrades, particularly on the utility side, is one touch make ready. And how do you make it so that when that pole is visited, that the handhole is replaced, that the street light is replaced, that the pole is in good shape, so that it's really one visit for your electrical contractor. And so one of the things that we do is we'll sit down and hold hands and say, hey, what is the data that's valuable to you? Garbage in, garbage out. We know that what's important to us for an upgrade perspective, but what is important to the municipality from a GIS perspective, from a safety perspective, from a future-proofing perspective. And so we sit down and define a scope, which is critical in defining the time that it takes to collect that data. And from there, we'll go out and deploy a survey could take anywhere. We could do anywhere from 4 an hour to 30 an hour, depending on the data that needs to be collected. But that's one of the wonderful things is that when you look at the incremental cost of the audit, it's significantly less compared to the cost to visit it for an electrician to perform the upgrades, as well as making sure that they don't have to go back multiple times and having that bill of material ready on that first trip for what we call a one-touch make ready. And so ultimately, it comes down to it. It depends on the attributes collected, but anywhere from 4 to up to 30 audits an hour based on the size of your municipality. And again, it's completely customizable because garbage in, garbage out. We know what's needed for the ComEd rebate. We know what's needed for the lighting and design. But in addition, there's important things that are going to be important to specific communities that to determine the scope of work for each data collection process.
Thank you, Josh. And then someone's also asking about, are there opportunities for citizen engagement when it comes to IoT solutions? Is there any way that you're involving the community from any grassroots efforts that have been made by anyone on the call? Not to date? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Okay.
Let me go back to that. Can you
Sure.
ask that question again, Aaron?
No problem. The question is, are there any opportunities for citizen engagement with some of these IoT-driven services? Are there any grassroots efforts?
I mean, as part of our broadband, we call it Internet for All initiative, we've already been working with the state of Illinois, with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. They've had these listening sessions throughout this year and last year. So we've had a few sessions, at least 3, in collaboration with DCEOE, just to get the citizens to come in, to get the not-for-profits to come in, to get the businesses to come in to talk about the whole, the broadband connectivity project. Because again, it's about the community. Listen, there was a gentleman that once said, and this is when I started back in, I believe I heard this back in 2019, that social innovation can never be a project run by one group of people for the benefit of the other. And that's kind of stuck in my head. So if you're talking about, delivering broadband connectivity to disenfranchised communities, to the cities, to underserved, to unserved, you have to get them in the room to understand their concerns, their challenges. their recommendations. And that's what we've been doing with the City of Aurora in collaboration with the state and local partners, our anchor institutions.
Thank you, Mike. I
And,
appreciate that.
and to follow up with that, the city of Elgin has, multiple advisory commissions, and one of which in Elgin is our sustainability commission. And, anytime it comes to reducing a carbon footprint or projects that, are benefited by technology, a lot of what technology can offer towards sustainable projects, our sustainability commissions, the goals and objectives that are set forth by this advisory board, which are also ultimately pushed up to our city council. A lot of those can be conditioned in or completed through the use of technology. So whether, again, I'll go back to what we've talked about, whether it's reducing carbon emissions and street lighting, whether it's improving traffic signal management through centralized traffic signal systems, which is reducing carbon footprints. There are, a lot of things that fit into this conversation that take our advisory commission, which is, it's grassroots, right? These are unpaid residents who serve on city commissions that provide recommendations to the city council. So yeah, we take heed to that very much, and then program our projects in line with those initiatives and goals that they have set for us.
Right. And just to add on that, Aaron, just real quick, that the city of Aurora actually established an Innovation and Technology Advisory Commission a couple of years ago to investigate, research, and gather information on significant emerging technologies that could benefit and impact the city of Aurora. And we opened that up to the public as well, and we have local residents on that commission who basically do that investigation and come back to the council to basically report on those things, just like you said as well. So
Excellent.
get in
Well, thank
contact
you,
with
Pam.
your local city, and I'm sure they have those type of commissions where the residents can actually participate.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that. I think that might have been our last question, as the last comment dropped in the Q&A section says, "Thank you. I need to get to work. I need to go secure a $500,000 grant." So that might have been the last question for today's webinar. So if that is the case, I just personally want to thank our panel members and also our moderator, Joshua, and Mayor Katrina for hosting this morning. Thank you to our panel members. I appreciate you and your time speaking about smart IoT solutions. It's always a pleasure working with the three of you, and we appreciate you taking time to talk to other municipalities about what they can do as well. And we just encourage anyone on the call, if you have follow-up questions about smart IoT solutions, or even if the Will Group can help with your own journey, we encourage you to reach out to us. We are available. Once again, thank you so much to Todd, Aaron, and Mike on today's call. We appreciate you, and we will see you soon. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Otto, it looks like